Hassel here, co-host of the Nerdy Man Room Show. And we proudly present to you Man Room Shorts. Your discretion is advised.
We can dive into our focus topics, which the whole reason we invited Big Rob to this one because he is our resident Star Wars expert out of our group of people. And he, while I know a small chunk and Hassel knows a small chunk, Rob knows everything. So, yeah, we go to him for Star Wars trivia and stuff most of the time. But we're going to hit on our first focus topic, which is we wanted to talk about Star Wars media. So, and I've been interrupted and told I must share this since it is Christmas.
That's
Baby Gerger Christmas.
Nice.
But yeah, so we wanted to, but for what we want to do for focus topics is we wanted to go through and talk about, hey, how do we feel about the different media, the different trilogies, right? We had the prequels, the originals, and the sequels, and how did they rank for us, and what went along with them, and then how did current movies and shows fit in? So I'm actually going to shut up and take a break for a few minutes after talking through the news before I cough myself to death anyway, because I've been holding it in. And I'm going to let Hassel and Big Rob kick us off with this.
Well, Big Rob, you're the guest and the expert extraordinaire. So you take the lead and put us on our place. I imagine we're going to probably be along the lines of the same, anyways. So kick it off for us.
Probably. Okay. I swear I'm terrible at this kind of stuff, but so examining the Star Wars trilogies, because I'm 40 years old and I'm going to be in that same group, I'm going to say, for me, the original trilogy is always going to be the best. Nothing can top those. And then, I like the prequel trilogy probably second and the sequels, third. That's just me. And probably you guys are very similar opinion of that. My nieces and nephews are 10, 14, and 16, and they probably have a completely different opinion, and that's okay. They're wrong, but they're children, so it's okay for them to be wrong.
Well, would you say your nieces and nephews probably go prequels, sequels, original?
Probably prequel, original, and then sequel. I don't even think Isabella has seen all of the sequel trilogy, but they like the prequel stuff. It's what they grew up with, and I think they kind of felt a kinship with seeing Anakin grow up, and so they kind of like the prequel stuff better. Which they also had the Clone Wars that kind of fleshed a lot of that stuff out. We didn't really have any TV shows to flesh our stuff out other than droids.
We had
and
droids and Ewoks.
I said better than droids and Ewoks. They didn't quite last quite as long, and they didn't. But they had some really good moments. I've seen them, so
There's something about
the original trilogy
as a child by it. I think whatever you see, that captivates your imagination as a child probably is where you gravitate towards.
Well, in fairness,
100%.
In fairness, too, to the prequels and the sequels, I am an original trilogy person myself. I like it the best, but at the same time, the production value of that versus what you can digitally do now, the production value is vastly different. I mean, I can't knock the originals, but they don't look the same as the prequels and the sequels. I mean, because you can do more stuff now.
Well, just the action itself. I mean, I know George went back and tried to, he tried to dice it up a little bit and put some little flair in there. But at the end of the day, your saber battle is extremely compared to the other 6 movies. Let's be honest. The saber battle is slow, methodical. What a actual sword battle would have been like in medieval age versus, in the prequels and sequels, you get flips and, 2 Jet Li type motherfuckers going at it with light swords. I mean, so you didn't have that going on. I mean, yeah, Luke done a little fancy flip here or there, and Vader would, slowly trot after him, but, you just didn't have that.
Yeah, they still fought like 2 guys wearing suits of armor holding 25-pound swords.
And you know what? Their battle looks a little more believable and more enjoyable to me, but that's just me.
I kind
I
of
don't know.
compare it
I
to.
enjoy,
Oh, go ahead, Rob. I'm sorry.
oh no, I was just going to say, as far as believability, I love General Grievous's and Obi-Wan's battle. All those lightsabers spinning around. That's not believable at all, but it saves on acid. It sends me on a nice little psychedelic trip.
It's enjoyable, I will say that.
You know what it reminds me of, though, is comparison, not to in any form other than how it's evolved in the production quality. Is look at wrestling from the NWA days, and you couldn't even jump off the top rope because that was illegal. You had a few ladder matches, but people were jumping from halfway up the ladder. Whereas now you're on a 17-foot ladder getting speared off of a belt hanging from the ceiling. I mean, that is changed in that type
Believability
of
is
way.
out of the window. The genie's out of the bottle.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I compare it to, though, right? It went from being these two guys standing here in the dark, very slowly parrying against each other before, okay, I'm going to take a swing and block or whatever. But then you look at even in the prequels when Darth Maul spinning the thing around like he's got a bow staff there. And I'm like, that's a laser. I wouldn't be spinning it quite like that because I'd be afraid I'm going to cut my own limb off,
Oh, but he's doing it in parkour at the same time. I mean,
Parkour.
yeah. So that's probably the biggest drawback to me in some of the action scenes. You're either going to live or die by it. There is no in between.
So what? And I think even for like my son and your nieces and nephews, Rob, even though they're coming up kind of in the sequel trilogy point instead of the prequels, it's still they still don't gravitate towards the sequels. I don't know what it is about those that just it's turned a lot of people off. I'm kind of curious of what you guys think of it because I watch them and they're an okay movie, but at the same time, like it's not really Star Wars to me. It just doesn't fit the same.
To me, it's okay. The original has no. Well, I'm not gonna say it has no flaws. They have plot holes, and to me, as enjoyable as Jedi is, it is the lull in the three out of the original, just because and it probably wouldn't have been had Empire just not been so fucking great. But so the original is always here. But when it comes to the sequels and prequels, they both have a stinker in their three movies. I think we could probably all agree if you took like 85% of episode one and trashed it, you would be lost shit. So that movie kind of shit the bed for the prequels. I apologize, but 2 is a very good movie. 3 is amazing. Yeah. And then when you go to the sequels, they started out good. I mean, that first one was super great. But the only flaw it had to me was the fact that you had Luke Skywalker for 8 seconds. I mean, I get the whole search for him, so forth and so on. You're establishing new characters. No problem with that. He should have been in the movie far longer than that. Don't just try to leave us on a cliffhanger. It's not like you're coming back next week where you're going to have a big audience. You bitches waited 2 years. So that's really the only flaw I have in the first of those. Because, I mean, Kylo Ren establishes himself as a badass 30 seconds in the movie. When you force stop a damn blast and hold it, I mean, not just deflect it like Vader would. He held it. That's fucking gangster. Yeah. But then next thing you know, they shit the bed entirely with episode 8. That movie was utter trash. That is not Luke Skywalker. I don't give a damn what anybody says. And you did have the one cool sequence there, where his Force Ghost or whatever battles Kylo and kicks his ass even as a Force Ghost. I mean, that was a cool scene. You got Yoda. So, I mean, basically, that was their episode 1. Where 15% of the movie is good. The rest is trash. But by this point, you've killed off all your legacy characters. You kill off Han in episode 1, which was stupid, or episode 7. I apologize.
Yeah,
because you just completely eliminated what would have been masterful in the reunion of Han, Leia, Luke. Every fan of this series wanted to see that. You're robbed of that. So right there, you trashed it. And you kill off Luke in the second one. And not even a very meaningful death, he just vanishes. Third one, Leia's croaked, which, I mean, you had no choice. I mean, I understand circumstances. They were what they were, but if you'd have played episode 8 out like you should have, we would have had some on-screen moments that we were robbed of. And honestly, I don't even know if it was Luke. Even, did he appear on screen in 9? Did we get a Force Ghost Luke? I don't remember. I remember voices. I remember voices of various Jedi, but I mean, did we get a Force Ghost Luke?
I feel like we did, but it's been a while since I've seen it. I'd have to go back and watch it, honestly.
Which one?
Don't get me wrong, the last one wasn't bad to me. I mean, I enjoyed Palpatine returning, and I mean, you got the redemption of Kylo, which was pretty cool.
To answer your question, Hassa, wasn't the 9 the one? Isn't that where Rey went to throw the lightsaber away or whatever, and Luke catches it as a Force ghost?
Well, was that it? I mean, I don't remember. I said that's the fact that it's not that memorable is where they went wrong.
But and I think that's the telling story, right? You can you can go back and you can remember a lot of things from the original trilogy, and there's some things from the prequels you remember, but how much do you really remember from the sequels?
I mean, I've probably seen Force Awakens 6-7 times. I enjoyed it, like I said, other than the Luke aspect of it. I may have watched episode 8 3 times, and I think I've seen 9 twice.
Yeah,
and it wasn't that it wasn't enjoyable. I actually enjoyed 9 because it felt like they tried to fix. Abrams tried to fix where the previous director just totally, pooped in pants, But there was only so much you could do at that point.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen the original trilogy characters come back together again too for a scene. But now I will say that the one thing they didn't have to do it as early as they did, but Han's death was the most meaningful one out of any of their deaths.
Oh, and he didn't die in vain. I will say that it was a character builder.
Yeah.
And I think Kylo needed to kill him. I just would have liked to have seen the reunion of the legacy characters beforehand. And almost like he'd have murdered Han in front of Leia and Luke. That would have made his turn to the dark side even more, just, oh, you scumbag.
Yeah, that could have been interesting. Rob, you were fixing to say something.
Oh, no, I was, the fanboy in me, yeah, I would love to have seen the legacy characters get back together, but I think that killing Han when he did, that brought all of us into the movie. I think up until that point, we were just like, okay, maybe just me. Up until the Han death, we were all just like, oh, this is great. We're finally getting a new Star Wars movie, and we just kind of, it's a popcorn flick. But when that lightsaber shot out of Han's back, I was instantly brought back into the franchise, and I was just like, holy fucking shit, what just happened?
So for you,
here?
That's what invested you in this new trilogy.
Oh God, yeah.
I kind of feel the same way, man. I hadn't thought about it like that, but you're right. Up until that point, it was like, it's a good movie, but I'm not really invested. I don't care enough about anybody. And then you kill one of your major characters from the originals.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not even arguing that he didn't have to die in that episode. I just the only flaw, like I said, is Luke should have been in more of the movie. I mean, I think they were trying to Game of Thrones it and just cliffhanger you. But I mean, when you got a 2-year gap between your movies, it's a little too much.
I agree on one hand, but I think if they'd have gotten somebody, if they'd have let J.J. Abrams do all 3 of them, or gotten somebody who actually liked Star Wars to do Episode 8, and we'd have gotten the real Luke Skywalker, I think we might have forgiven The Force Awakens not having very much Luke Skywalker, because you go from the last time you see him was in Return of the Jedi, 20-something years later, get a movie, and he doesn't show up to the very end, and he still don't say anything, and then you got to wait 2 more years, and then when he does talk, he completely trashes his image.
Yeah, because he's not even Yoda.
completely
Like where Yoda is hiding on Dagobah, he's doing the same, but he's not even like, you know, you never get a vibe like, oh man, this is what's a great Jedi Master. Not once do you feel that. I mean, he's doubting himself even when Yoda does appear to him.